You have seen players in our league try to like toughen up Caitlin. I know the talks that Phoenix had in the locker room of like, no, we're going to prove her, we're going to show her what the W really is. I'm like, what are people doing? It's just too much.
Finally, someone who gets it. Finally, someone in the WNBA who understands this thing called business. I know this is a foreign concept. I know this is difficult for WNBA players to understand. I know they feel like they're entitled to be overpaid. I know they feel like they are owed a paycheck, but the WNBA does not exist to lift you out of poverty. David Stern did not create the WNBA to give women opportunities. I know that's how it was sold to the media, but that's just not how capitalism works. The WNBA was created for one reason and one reason only: make money, which is something this unmonetizable turd has failed to achieve in the last 30 years. To make matters worse, when they finally had the opportunity to turn a profit, when they finally had the opportunity to shift from pesos to dollars, when they stumble upon the golden goose, the cash cow, instead of milking the money out of the cash cow, jealous WNBA players, they try to butcher it. Someone please make it make sense. Although most WNBA players have no idea how to become stars, there is one player in this dump with a functional brain. Sophie Cunningham was drafted by the Phoenix Masculines back in 2019. Now, don't let the team name fool ya. Unlike some of her colleagues in the WNBA dump, Sophie Cunningham is anything but masculine. Matter of fact, Sophie Cunningham is This is her 7th season in the WNBA. For 6 years, Sophie Cunningham was another anonymous face in a league filled with anonymous faces. If you saw her walking down the street, you might think that she was a supermodel. You might think she was an accountant, a lawyer, maybe a wealthy housewife. But the last thing you would think is a WNBA player, mainly because Sophie Cunningham is proud to feel like a woman. After 6 years of anonymity, Sophie Cunningham has suddenly become a superstar this season. Why? How did she accomplish the previously unachievable? How did she become a star in a league that seems to be allergic to star power? To her credit, Sophie Cunningham used her brain. She noticed that the path to stardom had already been cleared for her. She emulated the strategy that was utilized by Draymond Green. On paper, there is no reason for Dre to be a star. He averages 9.7 rebounds a game. Draymond Green is a role player disguised as a star player. But early in his career, he realized that he could hang on to Superman's cape. He could allow Steph Curry to shine. He could allow Steph Curry to receive the adulation. And Draymond Green, he could make a name for himself as the enforcer. If an opposing player wants to get physical with Batman, you gotta come through Robin. Draymond Green realized early on that the spotlight provided by Steph Curry would also shine on him. You see how that works? This season, Sophie Cunningham has done the exact same thing. On paper, she's kind of pedestrian. 7 points, 3 rebounds. On paper, Sophie Cunningham is a role player. But because she accepted the role as the enforcer, because she accepted the role as the protector of Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham has become a star. And now, not only is she protecting the roof from Waterloo on the court, Sophie Cunningham is publicly blasting jealous WNBA players and protecting her cash cow off the court. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the second channel is in the description below. Today on the second channel, going to be talking about Shannon Sharpe. Hey, it's me, Shay Shay. The grown man who calls himself Shay has been fired again. Obviously, we know why he was fired, but I'll explain why it's highly unlikely that the grown man who calls himself Shay lands another job in mainstream sports media. Skip Bayless was crucified when Shay was fired by FS1. But Casey, he wasn't fired. He left voluntarily. Yeah. Sure. Whatever happened, it ruined the career of Skip Bayless, but it is abundantly clear that Shannon Sharpe is the problem. I'll explain why, so click the link in the description below, subscribe to the second channel. Yesterday, Sophie Cunningham, she was on her podcast called Show Me Something. I believe it was her debut episode. She's co-hosting the show with something called West. Initially, I thought she might be asking for directions, but as it turns out, West is a dude. At that point, I'm thinking it's her brother, maybe her boyfriend, which would crush the dreams of single dudes across America. But apparently, West is some reality TV personality on Bravo, which explains why I had no idea who in the hell he was. That being said, he seems like a cool dude. But anyway, the jealousy of Caitlin Clark was the topic of conversation. Sophie Cunningham was criticizing those who refused to acknowledge that Caitlin Clark is the face of the WNBA. Translation? She was criticizing WNBA players and their pretend friends in the mainstream media. Jealous players and the media, they try to attribute the illusion of success in the WNBA to multiple players. It's not just the white girl. There are multiple faces in the WNBA. Nafisha Collier, AJ Wilson, Angel Reese. Our league is about inclusion. Every player is the face of the WNBA. I'm not a doctor, and I know with advancements in modern medicine, women have the ability to have multiple faces with constant alterations, which, by the way, all my ladies out there, leave your pretty face alone. Don't waste your money paying some doofus doctor to fix what isn't broken. I'm not a doctor, but I'm pretty sure you only have one face. Therefore, you can't have multiple faces in the WNBA. There's only one, and it's the face of the white girl from Iowa, which is exactly what Sophie Cunningham acknowledged yesterday. Watch it for yourself.
Pisses me off when people are like, she's not the face of the league.
Who would be?
What?
Sabrina? No.
When people try to argue that she's not the face of our league,
Yeah.
or if our league would be where we're at without her, you're dumb as shit.
Yeah.
You're literally dumb as fuck.
That is the voice of someone who gets it. That is the voice of a young woman who realizes, I don't have to be the center of attention. I don't have to be the star. I don't have to be the face of the league. I don't have to average 20 points a game. I don't have to be as famous as Caitlin Clark, but I can use her star power to launch my own career, which is exactly what Sophie Cunningham has done this season. This time last year, no one knew who she was. Randall Cunningham organized a Cunningham family reunion, and Sophie, she needed ID to get in the door. Her own damn family didn't recognize her. She signs with the Indiana Feline. She becomes friends with Caitlin Clark. Sophie Cunningham, she becomes the enforcer on and off the court. Next thing you know, Sophie Cunningham is starring in commercials. She lands a podcast deal with The Volume, the network owned by Colin Cowherd. Within the span of 3 months, Sophie Cunningham has went from being unknown to being a star. You see how that works? Why is this so hard for WNBA players to understand? But Casey, they do understand. WNBA players are smart. They have accepted Caitlin Clark this season as one of their own. Yeah, for now. They realized they needed Caitlin Clark while negotiating significant increases in their minimum wage salaries. They realized Caitlin Clark was the only leverage they had. But I guarantee you, if and when a new CBA is signed, the jealousy and resentment, it will return. Now, from the league's perspective, I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. Reason being, it generates interest. Maybe it's just me, but the WNBA just hasn't seemed as interesting this season. Sure, there's been plenty of drama. Last night, Bob Griner was ejected from a game for making physical contact with an official. My inside sources, they are telling me that the poor referee was terrified, and who can blame her? She noticed a seemingly angry Bob Griner approaching her. She felt the masculine force of Bob, which caused her to stumble. But my inside sources, they are telling me that Bob was not approaching the official in anger. Bob Griner was simply flirting. The WNBA has manufactured drama by having fans removed from the arena or wardrobe malfunctions where players' hair is falling out. But to me, it just hasn't had the same impact. The WNBA hasn't felt as big as it did last season, which is probably why you can't find ratings for games not involving the Indiana Felines. Now, I'm sure some of it has to do with the fact that Caitlin Clark can't stay on the court. But overall, the WNBA hasn't had the same impact this season, at least from my perspective. It really shows you the power of Caitlin Clark. There's something about her that draws people in. There's something about her that generates interest. And when she's not playing, it's just not the same. You tell me, has the WNBA seemed less impactful this season when compared to last season? Also, is Sophie Cunningham the only player in the WNBA that gets it? She literally used the star power of Caitlin Clark to elevate her own career. Smart woman, right? Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys later.